Man, Gervonta did what he had to do, man. He won the fight, but I was going for Ryan, but he gave up, man. I feel like he gave up. I feel like he should have did what he had to do to win the fight. When we get down, we got to get back up, man. We got to ask for God for that victory. When we get knocked down, we got to ask for God for that victory. But I feel like that's what he should have done. I still feel Ryan should have done more, man. He should have done more. He should have risked his life more. He should have risked his life more.
Wow. Ryan Garcia's former gym mate, stablemate, Andy Ruiz Jr., former heavyweight champion, says Ryan should have got back up and risked his life more than he did in his knockout loss versus Gervonta Tank Davis. That's what I want to talk about in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I am back with some more boxing. For starters, let me say shout out to everybody. You made the Boxing Ego Watch Party, BWP, another massive success. So shout out to everybody who sent a Cash App, joined, and became a channel member, PayPal, Zelle, Super Chats. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm just going to keep growing the channel. We did great numbers. I'm doing pay-per-view numbers, and it's just me, Dolo, by myself. What you know about it. The best in the business. Now, that clip you heard at the beginning was former stablemate out of the Eddie Reynoso gym, because they were at the same time, the Canelo gym. Andy Ruiz, former heavyweight champion, and he was basically expressing his thoughts in the Ryan Garcia fight. He says, congrats to Tank, or, you know, Tank did what he had to do. But I was really hoping that Ryan Garcia would get back up and do more, because you got to believe in God and, you know, this, that. You guys heard the clip at the beginning, so I'm just going to paraphrase from that. If you didn't hear it, then too bad for you, or you can hit rewind and go back to the beginning of this video and then come back, pop back into this spot. So paraphrasing, he says you should have got back up. Now, it's so funny in the world of boxing when your boy Ego say the same things in real time. Like, I don't wait for Andy Ruiz or anybody else to comment in boxing before I say things, right? So I said I personally thought Ryan Garcia quit, and I explained. And just in case you missed that explanation, let me go in again. Ryan Garcia, I believe he was likely in pain, but I also believe that he could have tried. He's a young, in shape dude. I think he could have tried and attempted to get up. I don't doubt that he was in pain. He got hit with a good shot, a shot to the liver. He looked like he wasn't even like trying, like he didn't want to push through that. So I understand what Andy Ruiz Jr. is saying. From the outward appearance of how it played out, it looks like you could have tried to press on. I mean, we seen another guy who was training in that gym, Oscar Valdez, and he fought, I think it was Scott Quigg fight, with a broken jaw. Like, literally his jaw is broken, and he's fighting large portions of the fight with blood all in his mouth, swallowing blood, and clearly that's not comfortable, right? We've seen Muhammad Ali fight 15 rounds in a 15-rounder with a broken jaw. Fighters like Wilder, he fought and he had a torn bicep and a broken hand, like a fractured hand, which required him to be in a sling after the fight, and he got a knockout win over Chris Arreola. If you don't know boxing, then look all these things up. Google is your friend. So I'm not trying to sound mean or savage. I'm just being real. Knowing the warrior way and the code of conduct from so many other great boxers, from Wilders to, Chavez Sr., who fought through pain, and, Muhammad Ali, and some of the people, the Mickey Wards and the Gottis, I really feel like with Ryan's youth and stuff, he could have got back up. He didn't, That's my honest opinion. Now, I understand body shots hurt, liver shots, paralyzing, sends a shock to your body. I get it. But at the same time, that's what you signed up for. Not to get hurt, but if you haven't worked on your defense, then, you signed up for that. Ryan did a lot of trash talk pre-fight. He said he was going to knock out Tank in 2. And when you make these lofty, big promises and what you're going to do and how you're going to end somebody, you're literally letting your undefeated record fall by the wayside in that given moment. So it's kind of a choice. And again, I've seen guys somehow, some way grit and bear and pick themselves up. So Ryan is not going to get a pass because, you know, we feel sorry for him. For example, if we want to talk about recent, because I've given you some examples with Muhammad Ali's and stuff, this is what makes champions. This is what really shapes your character and defines who you are. There's people who've been shot and drove themselves to the hospital, you know, crazy things. And this is what separates some people. And in the sport of boxing, and I'm not trying to sound savage, but this is what separates world champions from guys who are very good and maybe don't become world champions. Because to be a world champion, a lot of times you have to, in moments like this, if you're fighting elite fighters and great fighters like Gervonta Davis, who is definitely special, then you got to come with it. And you have to go through the fire. Like, I mean, even like Tyson Fury, Wilder is one of the hardest punchers in boxing history, if not the hardest puncher in boxing history. And Tyson Fury, like somehow, some way, he was getting up from some Wilder shots. That's just the reality. Ryan is on bended knee, and, you know, he's not even, it looked like he was trying to, like, was he going to get up? And then he just sat there and just, you know, let the time elapse, and the ref counted him out. So I understand what Andy Ruiz is saying. I've seen body shots like Oscar De La Hoya versus Bernard Hopkins, Ryan's promoters. That looked like Oscar couldn't continue. Like, he was on the ground, like, just paralyzed. You know, even Ryan Garcia knocking out Luke Campbell. I would never say that Luke Campbell quit, because to me, it looked like you just got blasted with a real body shot. For me, this is just my opinion, and obviously Andy Ruiz Jr. shares similar sentiments. It just, the appearance of how it went out, Ryan just let his undefeated record go, all that trash talk, you know, all this stuff, I'm gonna knock Tank out, you know, these are the moments that define you. But another reason, like, why the setup kind of looked weird for me was just based on the fact that, you know, Ryan, he looked cognizant. Again, I'm not doubting he was in pain, but he looked like his eyes, he knew the ref was in front of him and stuff like that. So moreover, what I believe happened is that Ryan Garcia had already been dropped and got back up, and he was getting hit with big shots, and he lost 3 rounds in a row. He hadn't really badly hurt Tank or done anything to the point where he would have the utmost confidence. And then you get sat down again, you get parked a second time, and there's a little bit of a delayed reaction. And to be honest, it just seemed like Ryan didn't want to get turned into a meme, because he knew things weren't looking up. But those are the moments that, again, define you. Imagine if Floyd Mayweather, when Shane Mosley cracked him hard in that second round, imagine if he did what Ryan Garcia did and he just buckled and took a knee and then just sat there. Then he would no longer be the Floyd Mayweather we know. He would no longer have got to 50-0, and he would no longer have that legendary comeback from rounds 3 through 12, right, that he had versus Shane Mosley. And I interviewed Shane Mosley about that, and he was like, man, I almost had him. And Floyd, fortunately for the dog that he has in himself, he doesn't have to say that. He doesn't have to say, oh, I almost did this, or I wish I coulda. He lived it, and he made the choice, like other great fighters, like Andre Ward versus Kovalev when he got dropped, or the Darnell Boone fight when he got dropped. He made a conscious choice that I'm gonna go out how I want to go out. And, you know, either you're going to have to take me out or I'm finishing this fight. And it would have been nice to see Ryan Garcia try to push that little bit extra out. And Ryan talks a lot about, you know, his faith in religion. And he talks a lot about his convictions and almost like motivational speaking and like having anxiety and overcoming and triumph. So I really felt this was your moment to kind of show that for all the kids that have dealt with anxiety, to push through that pain again and try to topple Gervonta Davis, even though it wasn't looking likely or wasn't looking up. But that's the only way you know is if you get back up. So I truly understand where Andy Ruiz is coming from, because I said the same thing. In that instance, it's kind of like, if you're really being honest, Tank Davis's last two opponents, they almost submitted to him. And that's Hector Luis Garcia and Ryan Garcia, back-to-back Garcias. They seen how good Tank was, and then when they got hurt by him, and I do believe both Garcias were truly hurt, but once they seen that, they knew it was only probably going to get worse. Tank is one of the best finishers in all of boxing, so they weren't even trying to paddle up Ish Creek. They were just kind of content, no mossing or waving the white flag. Hector Luis Garcia, I don't think he came out from his corner. He said he couldn't see or something. Anytime you act weird in front of the doctors, they're not going to, you say you can't see or something, it's a wrap. They're going to cancel the fight. They're going to say, oh, you lose. And every boxer who's been boxing, as long as these guys have been boxing, they know that. And the same thing with Ryan. The ref was giving Ryan Garcia a pretty generous count, like going slow enough. But Ryan Garcia, he wasn't like, you can't just sit there. You see what I'm saying? So I just think Ryan lacked experience, and he has to work on the fundamentals and his defense and things like that. But this was his moment. You know, he always speaks about like battling back from anxiety and depression and these types of things. I thought this was his moment to not necessarily win, because I always predicted that Tank would beat him. But even if you got back up, for example, I think a recent example where I really seen this in play is Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant's performance versus David Benavidez was awe-inspiring, even in a loss. The reason being is because, first of all, I thought Caleb Plant looked very sharp in the first half, middle of the fight, right? He was beating David Benavidez for sure. But Benavidez, one, he has dog in him. And when he started turning up, he started really pummeling Caleb Plant and, you know, put Caleb Plant in bad shape, you know? And I don't even think Caleb Plant, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think Caleb Plant went down. And there was moments where you look like he probably should have or could have or wanted to, or whatever the case is. Same thing with Ryan Garcia. But Caleb Plant, like he says, you can't break a poor boy's chin. So Caleb Plant knew what he was there for, and he knew he didn't want to go out, you know, in that fashion by knockout. So he didn't win, and he was losing the later rounds, but he just pushed and he pushed and he pushed. So I think that's the way of the samurai, what Caleb Plant showed. What Ryan Garcia showed was, hey, I'm in it until I'm not in it. And when the going gets tough, then, you know, I'm just going to wave the white flag, because I'd rather go out like that as opposed to go out on a stretcher. But this is a brutal sport. You know that pain is probably coming with it. Like, I've never even met a fighter in my lifetime, and I know a lot of fighters that have never been in pain, because fighters, that's all they know. Injuries in camp, sparring, pro fights, amateur, you know pain. So I think I agree with Andy Ruiz. I just really wish Ryan Garcia would have, you know, did more of a attempt, because he wasn't like on the ground on his back or anything like that. All he had to do was try to stand up and, you know, see if you could do it, because he could have stood up and then the referee seen he was in bad shape and still stopped it. So just in getting up, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, even in standing up would have been good, because if you stand up and like at least try to rise with that slow count that ref was doing, then, you know, there's still a chance that the ref could stop it. But it just looks a little bit better. It looks like, all right, I'm really trying to push through this pain. And, you know what I mean? Ryan looked like he knew the end was near, and Tank had his number, and that's how he chose to go out. So let me know what you think. Is that being harsh? Do you agree with Ego and Andy Ruiz? And Andy Ruiz is another person, if I'm being real, because that Joshua fight, Joshua's a big dude. Joshua clobbered him in that first fight. And somehow he got up and then dropped Joshua like 3 times after that, and even hurt Joshua in that same round because Joshua did like Ryan Garcia and got super aggressive. So Andy Ruiz, you know, some people might be mad that he said this, but at the same time, guess what? Andy Ruiz has a right to say it because he shows heart. You know what I mean? He's gotten back up and pushed through the fight, whether it's painful or not, you know what I mean? And then did the rematch. He didn't look so great in the rematch, but I think a lot of that was because of discipline issues. Let me know how I did in this video. You know, great event overall, great sportsmanship from Tank and Ryan. I'll continue to drop y'all off with some fire. I got a lot to say. And, you know, my prediction was very easy, I told you. But, you know, to each his own. Drop your thoughts in the comment section, and I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation.